Welcome to Alien Eve. New sci-fi stories arrive every 4 hours. If you want these journeys to continue, your support means everything. For long listening sessions, check out the playlist and enjoy the universe.
Haven 9 orbital station had 3 reliable constants. The air always tasted faintly metallic, the gravity regulators lagged by half a second during shift transitions, and Chief Systems pilot Marcus Hale preferred silence over small talk. After 12 years in deep fleet environmental operations, he'd learned that silence kept things predictable. Machines behaved in silence, people didn't. His new roommate, however, was an anomaly. Talyra then worked hydrobiological night rotations and moved through their shared quarters like a ghost, quiet, precise, almost rehearsed. Marcus had lived with her for 5 months, exchanged perhaps 24 sentences total, and cataloged exactly one fact about her. She was impossibly disciplined. Lights always off at 6:0. Every utensil positioned at a mechanically perfect angle. No clutter, no noise, no presence. It suited him fine. But Haven 9 had been unstable all week. Micrometeorite impacts, solar flare interference, a dozen small malfunctions stacking into something that felt heavier than chance. Marcus spent 14 hours repairing a failing CO2 scrub system in Sector Delta, crawled through ducts tighter than standard spec, and returned to his quarters drenched in sweat, spine aching, mind chalk dry from exhaustion. He registered 3 details at once. Talyra's door was ajar, his was closed. The bathroom light was on. He assumed she had already left for her shift. The bathroom lock hadn't worked in months, engineering budget cuts, so he pushed the door open to wash the chemical dust off his hands. Time should have moved normally. Instead, it buckled. Steam hung in the room like suspended glass. The air smelled faintly of something floral but metallic, like crushed petals over circuitry. And in the shower stall stood Talyra, turned half away, water cascading down skin that wasn't skin. Light moved across her body, not reflected, not projected, but generated. Bioluminescent lines flowed along her back in shifting constellations. Fractal spirals, geometric lattices, spectral blue pulses fading into violet. She was tall by human standards, her proportions subtly elongated, joints articulated with an elegance engineered for neither human gravity nor human expectations. Her ears were swept back in refined arcs. Her posture was wrong, or rather, precisely right for a species he couldn't identify. Marcus's pulse spiked, his exhaustion delaying comprehension. She turned sharply. Silver metal eyes widened. The bioluminescent lines surged brighter in response. He stumbled backward so quickly he slammed into the doorframe. I didn't the lock, I thought you were on shift. His words tripped over each other, collapsing under their own uselessness. He yanked the door shut, heat burning up his neck. His heart hammered so loudly it felt like part of the emergency alarm system. Beyond the door, the shower switched off. A soft sound followed, not panic, not surprise, something sharper, like a coded expression his translator didn't even attempt to interpret. Talyra, he managed, voice cracking. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I didn't know. Silence. Then, through the thin partition, go to your room. Not angry, not distressed, command level steady, Marcus obeyed instantly. He sat on his bed, elbows on his knees, trying not to replay what he saw. He failed. The image of those shifting patterns seared itself into his visual cortex like an afterimage of staring at a star too long. He knew Haven 9 housed dozens of alien species. He'd worked alongside Vesk engineers, scath technicians, even a Thalorian navigator once. But Talyra, she wasn't any species in his database, and the way the patterns responded, responsive bioluminescence, wasn't just rare. It was classified. Her door clicked open minutes later. Soft footsteps crossed the common area, then a knock on his door, precise, measured. Marcus Hale, she said. We need to speak, now. He exhaled once, bracing. When he stepped into the common area, she was fully clothed in station-issue neutrals, hair tied back, not a trace of glowing patterns visible. She sat perfectly straight on the couch like a soldier undergoing tribunal. Sit, she said. He did. You accessed a restricted visual state of my physiology, she said, voice calm but cold. This creates a problem. I know, it was an accident. I'll file a housing change request if you want. No, she cut him off cleanly. A housing transfer would draw attention. Attention is dangerous. That word landed heavily. Dangerous. She studied him with those silver eyes not blinking. You saw more than you should have. You saw what my people call the looming core. The inner pattern, the record. Record. Yes, a hesitation, barely perceptible. Every event in my life, every significant physiological shift, every psychological threshold, they appear on my skin. Permanently, my species does not forget, we cannot. That explained the complexity of the patterns, a living biography written in light. Talyra, why hide it? Her jaw tightened, because Haven 9 is not safe for my kind. Before he could ask more, the station lights flickered, then died. A low hum trembled through the floor, station-wide power failure. Emergency red strips blinked alive, but they barely lit the room. And then Marcus saw it, Talyra glowing softly, blue at first, then violet, the fractal patterns igniting under her clothes as the suppression agents faded. She inhaled sharply, folding her arms as if the light itself betrayed her. "You were not meant to see this," she murmured. "Is the glow dangerous?" he asked. "No, but it is revealing." He watched the shifting patterns, unable to look away. Not out of desire, but because his engineer's brain recognized something impossibly sophisticated. The patterns pulsed in frequency bands 2 or Haven 9 didn't simply lose power, it shuddered. The kind of structural vibration Marcus had only felt during hull breaches or reactor feedback loops. Emergency shutters sealed over the viewport with metallic groans, and the atmosphere systems compensated with a sharp hiss as backup scrubbers kicked in. Marcus rose from the couch immediately. "Talyra, stay here. If the outage came from the environmental core, I need to." No, her voice was sharper than he'd ever heard. "You cannot leave this room. It's my job. It is also what they will expect you to do." He froze. Who? Talyra listened, not with her ears, but with that slight tilt of her head he'd seen a dozen times without understanding. The bioluminescent lines beneath her clothing pulsed once, twice, shifting from blue to a wary violet. "There are movements in Sector Delta," she said quietly. 4 sets of footsteps, wrong cadence, wrong weight distribution. They are not engineers. Marcus's stomach dropped. "You can hear that? My patterns amplify neural perception in low-light conditions, a survival trait." She turned to him. "Those footsteps are searching for something or someone." "Me?" he asked. No, her eyes held his. "Me." The room seemed smaller suddenly. "Talyra," he whispered, "why would anyone come to Haven 9 to hunt you?" She exhaled through her nose, slow and controlled. The violet patterns along her jaw sharpened in frequency. "Because my species is not simply rare," she said. "We are classified, extinct officially, dangerous unofficially." Marcus blinked. "Extinct?" "Yes. According to the consortium, the Luminari vanished 2 centuries ago. A warp engine accident, catastrophic genetic collapse, a convenient fiction." "Convenient for who?" "For those who benefited from erasing us." The lights flickered again, a brief, ghostly attempt to reassert themselves, then died fully. Emergency strips dimmed to conserve power. In the darkness, Talyra became the room's only light source. A quiet alarm pinged through Marcus's wrist comm. "Warning, unauthorized system activity detected in EnviroCore." "Warning, access logs corrupted." "Warning, multiple security IDs in conflict." Talyra's patterns flared violet. "They are overriding the outer locks," she whispered. "They will sweep every corridor." Marcus didn't think, instinct took over. He crossed to the wall panel, removed it manually, and yanked out a cable cluster. The lights in the common area died completely. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Removing us from the automated search grid. Motion sensors can't track what they can't power. As far as the station is concerned, this room doesn't exist." Talyra stared at him, her silver eyes reflecting his dim emergency light. "You are surprisingly competent. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me." Before she could respond, a heavy thud reverberated through the corridor outside. Then another, the kind that came from armored boots, not standard station footwear. Marcus whispered, "They're military." "No," Talyra corrected softly. "Worse, contractors." He felt cold. Contractors meant deniable, no documentation. No oversight, no rules. "Talyra," he said, "are they here to kill you?" "Capture most likely," she said. "But yes, if necessary." He ran through possibilities rapidly. Her luminous biology, cognitive enhancements. A species wiped from records. Someone wanted her back or gone. "Then we need an exit route," he said. Talyra shook her head. "No, you do not understand." Her patterns shifted rapidly, violet streaked with something that looked almost metallic. "If they find you with me, they will not assume coincidence. They will assume collaboration." Marcus's jaw clenched. "Then I'm not leaving." "You must." "Not happening." The bioluminescent lines on her collarbone flickered, a pattern he hadn't seen before. Hesitation, warning, fear. They will not hesitate to kill you, she said. Your physiology is fragile. He gave a humorless smile. Thanks. It was an observation, not an insult. Outside, metal scraped against metal, a door panel forced open somewhere down the hall. Marcus leaned closer, speaking low. Tell me what they want. No games, no half-truths. If I'm going to help you survive this, I need information. Talyra studied him for a long moment. The room pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, blue, violet, blue, violet. Finally. My species carries embedded memory architecture, she said. Knowledge encoded at the biological level. Our ancestors built it into us. We inherit thousands of years of scientific records, political archives, biological data, all stored in the looming core. And the glowing patterns are what? Your storage interface. In a sense, they're reactive visual outputs of internal processes. Patterns shift according to specific neural states. Analyzing them incorrectly can reveal classified memories. Marcus exhaled, slow. So you are walking data. Yes, and someone wants to extract it. The footsteps outside multiplied. Marcus could now hear the faint electric hum of weapon capacitors charging. Talyra, he whispered, what happens if they capture you? My body will resist memory extraction, painfully, violently. And to the station. She hesitated. The resonance backlash could destabilize your reactor cores. Meaning? Haven 9 would not survive. The room chilled. Marcus Hale was many things, stubborn, tired, socially inept. But he wasn't the kind of man who let people die on his watch. He reached under his bed, pulled out the emergency engineering kit he wasn't technically supposed to keep in quarters, and snapped it open. Plasma cutter, shock baton, magnetic seal overrides, enough to cause trouble. Talyra blinked at him. You would fight contractors for me. No, Marcus said calmly. I'm going to fight to keep the station intact. You're just part of that equation. She stared at him like she'd miscalculated something fundamental. You are human, she said softly, and yet you do not fear. Trust me, Marcus replied, steadying his grip on the baton. I'm terrified. I just don't have time for it. The corridor outside went silent, too silent. Talyra inhaled sharply. They're scanning, searching for thermal anomalies. Marcus cursed under his breath. Talyra, your glow, can they detect? Yes, but only when it intensifies. Right now, I am suppressing as much as I can in darkness. Good, stay still, stay dim. The door console sparked. Someone was overriding the lock. Talyra whispered, Marcus, whatever happens, you cannot let them take me. He tightened his grip on the plasma cutter. Don't worry, he said. They won't. The door hissed, unlocked, opened 2 centimeters, and stopped. Because something on the other side hit it. Hard, a thud, a second. A muffled voice cursing. The door ground against its track. The screams outside did not sound like soldiers. Contractors didn't scream, at least not like that. The noise was jagged, frantic, raw with something that didn't belong in a sterile orbital station. Panic. Marcus felt his pulse spike. Talyra froze completely, her bioluminescent lines tightening into razor-thin bands of violet. That isn't part of their plan, she whispered. What is it then? I don't know, but whatever it is, it's not human. The last scream broke into a wet, guttural choke. Then silence. A silence that wasn't empty, no, it was weighted, pressurized, like the station itself was holding its breath. The door panel flickered again. Something scraped against it from the outside. Slow, deliberate, testing. Talyra moved closer, not out of fear, but calculation. Marcus, she said quietly, if you have weapons, bring them forward. Whatever is out there is not simply searching. It is analyzing the barrier. Marcus grabbed the plasma cutter in his right hand, the shock baton in his left. You're telling me contractors and something else are out there? Yes, and we're in the middle. Yes, he exhaled sharply. Fantastic. Another scrape, this time higher on the door, almost at eye level. The panel dented inward, not from brute force but from precision pressure, like something was mapping the structural limits of the metal. Marcus didn't blink. Talyra, he murmured, you said your patterns are a kind of memory archive. Could they detect what's in the corridor? Her expression tightened. Not from this distance. But if I access deeper layers, I might read residual thermal traces through the door. Then do it. She hesitated. Opening those layers increases luminosity. If what is out there is searching visually. We don't have another option. Talyra closed her eyes. Her bioluminescence slowly brightened, not in streaks or flashes, but in systematic, structured patterns. Lines aligning, spirals tightening. A low-frequency hum filled the room, too quiet to be sound, more like static brushing against bone. Marcus had the strange sensation she wasn't glowing. She was processing. After several seconds, she inhaled sharply. "It's scanning," she whispered, "and it's biological." "What kind of biological?" "Predatory, efficient, and not native to any consortium species registry." Marcus's chest tightened, meaning someone released it deliberately. The door dented again, harder this time, accompanied by a low, vibrating growl that didn't belong to metal or machine. The lights in the common area flickered in panic, as if even the emergency systems could sense something wrong outside. Marcus stepped in front of Talyra without thinking. "Move," she said sharply. "No. Marcus, I am significantly stronger than." "This isn't about strength." Her patterns flickered with something he couldn't name. Maybe frustration. Maybe a kind of alien shock that a human would willingly stand between her, and a threat he didn't understand. She stepped beside him instead of behind him. "Very well, we face it together." The corridor fell completely silent. Then, a series of rapid metallic impacts rang out, not against their door, on the bulkhead further down. Something heavy. Something armored, something firing, contractors, then a roar that vibrated the entire hallway, then gunfire, screams, something hitting the wall, flesh, bone, metal, everything at once. Marcus grit his teeth. "Talyra, what exactly are we up against?" She answered without looking away from the door. "A containment breach, level Z classification." "Z," Marcus whispered. "There's no Z-class on Haven 9. There isn't supposed to be." The implications slammed into him. Haven 9 wasn't just a residential and research station. Someone was hiding illegal biological intelligence research, something engineered, something dangerous. "Why Haven 9? He asked. "Because it is isolated, underfunded, and ignored," she said. "An ideal location for covert experiments." The gunfire cut off abruptly. A low breath scraped across the corridor floor near the bottom of their door, sniffing, snuffling. Something curious. Marcus tightened his grip on the plasma cutter. "Don't move," he whispered. Talyra didn't. Whatever was outside moved slowly along the door's edge, back and forth, like it was trying to understand the shape of the barrier. Then nothing, silence, dead heavy silence, until... Thud, the lights blinked. The door buckled inward, more force than before. "Marcus," Talyra said quietly, "if it breaches, you must target the cranial region. The creatures used in Z-class experiments tend to have reinforced." "Talyra," he swallowed. "Maybe save the autopsy for after we're not being hunted." She didn't respond, but he saw the faintest flicker of blue return to her patterns. Analytical, not fearful. Then, just as the creature tensed, a voice boomed in the corridor, deep, metallic, amplified. "Biohazard Unit Delta, clear the corridor." Something massive stomped down the hallway. The creature hissed, something charged, a shockwave burst. Then silence again. Finally, the station-wide speakers crackled weakly and a distorted announcement rasped through. "Attention residents. Containment breach in progress. All personnel shelter in place. Enforcement teams mobilized." "This is not a drill." Marcus lowered the plasma cutter slightly. "Talyra, what's happening now?" She stepped away from the door, her glow dimming. "Security will engage the creature. Contractors will regroup. More will come." "And us?" Her eyes met his, steady, calculating. "We need to get you out of the station." Marcus blinked. "Me. You are the only engineer who knows Haven 9's physical systems intimately enough to predict the chain of failures from a containment breach. And you're the one they're hunting." "Yes, so maybe you should leave." No, her voice was absolute. "I cannot leave. My presence is the only thing preventing a full neural-luminous cascade." "English, please." "If I leave the station," she said, "the creature will follow me. It is genetically imprinted to seek luminary signatures." Marcus leaned back slowly. "So you're the bait." "I am the origin," she corrected. Haven 9's emergency sirens faded into a distant, throbbing heartbeat as Marcus and Talyra moved carefully through the maintenance tunnels behind their quarters. The air smelled like scorched insulation and sterilizing agents. Someone had already triggered partial lockdown protocols in the sector. Marcus crawled forward, pushing aside conduit bundles until they reached an intersection where the tunnel branched into three. He pointed left. "That leads to Sector B's coolant regulators." Talyra pointed right. "Biohazard teams will be sweeping that route. They will expect engineers to take it." "So we go straight." "No," she said calmly. Straight leads to the experimental core. Marcus frowned. Which is exactly where you said we're not allowed to go. No, I said the contractors cannot reach it before we do. If you do not understand why the experiment must remain contained, you will not survive what is coming. Marcus leaned back on his heels. Talyra, what is the experimental core, and be specific this time? She considered him for several seconds, calculating risk, trust, the limits of what a human engineer could grasp. Then she spoke. The creature loose on the station is not a wildlife specimen. It is a prototype. Prototype of what? A hybrid bioweapon. His blood ran cold. What species? None at all, her voice dropped. It was built from archived luminary biosequences left behind after my people were massacred. Marcus stared at her. They used your species' genetic code to create a weapon. Yes, and you what? You found out and went into hiding on Haven 9. No, she met his eyes. I was part of the team that tried to shut it down. Talyra's patterns pulsed once, faint blue mixed with regret. My team attempted to destroy the early prototypes. The consortium classified the project, erased our existence, then continued the research in secret facilities. When I escaped, Haven 9 was the only place remote enough to hide. Marcus inhaled sharply. So the creature is designed to track you because your genome was used to build it. No, her voice dropped even lower. It tracks me because I carry the full Luminary archive, what the prototypes mimic crudely. To them, I am the original signal. The pieces click together like gears locking. That's why they sent contractors, Marcus said. Not to kill you, to retrieve you. Yes, and if they succeed, my body will become the key to completing the weapon. He shook his head. Talyra, why not tell station security? Because they would turn me in, or worse, try to study me. She wasn't wrong. Marcus forced his mind back to the problem. What's stopping the prototype from killing everyone on the station right now? It is still stabilizing. The station's fluctuating gravity fields interfere with its structural cohesion. But once the experimental core systems recalibrate, she exhaled slowly, it will evolve rapidly. Meaning, it will gain full control over its sensory lattice and locomotion enhancements. Marcus's skin prickled. So it's basically in a larval stage. Yes, and the contractors are hunting it too. They want to capture it, not kill it. Why it's dangerous? They want proof of concept, and if they retrieve both the creature and me, the project will advance. Marcus closed his eyes for a second. Okay, then we stop them. We reach the core, shut everything down, and... No, Talyra interrupted quietly. Shutting down the core is impossible without destabilizing the creature's cellular architecture. In English, the core is keeping it from accelerating into a catastrophic form. Remove the stabilizer and it becomes much worse. Marcus blinked, worse than what we heard outside our room. Yes, a distant explosion shook the tunnel. Dust rained from the ceiling. Marcus braced himself. Who was that? Talyra listened, then answered. Contractors setting charges to breach a sealed door. Marcus swore under his breath. How many are there? Initial team was 4. Reinforcements will be 12 to 16. Standard containment protocol. And the creature? Uncertain, but based on the thermal echoes, it has grown. Grown, the thing's been loose for 20 minutes. Exactly. A deep metallic clang echoed through the tunnel, followed by a groaning shift in the station's frame, pressure equalization. Marcus's eyes widened. Bulkhead 7 is failing. Yes, Talyra said. The creature moved through it. Moved through it. As in, broke it. No, as in absorbed its material. Marcus stared at her in horror. It's learning. Yes, and adapting. Yes, and it can assimilate metals. Certain alloys. It uses them to reinforce its exoskeletal structure. Marcus rubbed his face. So we're facing a fast-learning, metal-assimilating, luminary-hunting monster. Yes, and contractors with pulse rifles. Yes, and an experimental core that could destabilize the station. Yes. He took a deep breath. Okay, he muttered, just another shift on Haven 9. Talyra tilted her head. Humor is not an appropriate response to existential danger. It's a coping mechanism. I prefer logic. Then logically, Marcus said, we need to get to the core before anyone else does. She nodded, agreed. They crawled deeper into the maintenance tunnel until they reached a vertical shaft. Below them was darkness. Above them, faint red emergency lights. Marcus checked the readout on his wrist console. We're directly under the experimental lab wing. If we climb up, we enter Sector Gamma. That sector is sealed, not from the maintenance side. He grabbed the rung and began climbing. Talyra followed silently, her movements unnervingly precise. No wasted energy, no sound. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed just enough for him to see the rungs without turning on his flashlight. When they reached the top, Marcus pushed open the hatch. The smell hit him first, a mix of blood, ozone, and a synthetic rot that made the air feel thick. The corridor was dark except for emergency strips showing a smear of something black and viscous across the wall. Marcus whispered, "Talyra, is that?" "No, then what is it?" She crouched, examining the smear. Her patterns pulsed a muted violet. "It is polymer lattice residue, part of the creature's outer membrane." "Meaning it was just here?" "Yes, and recently." Marcus swallowed. "Where is it now?" Talyra's patterns brightened for a millisecond, sensing the creature clung to the ceiling like a nightmare rendered in wet metal and living tissue. Its shape was wrong, too fluid in some places, too angular in others, like it hadn't decided which form it preferred yet. Its eyes, if they were eyes, shifted in the dark like reflective shards embedded in muscle. Marcus froze. Talyra didn't. Her bioluminescence dimmed instantly to near black, her breathing slowing until she seemed carved from shadow. "Marcus," she whispered, tone razor steady. "Do not run, do not breathe loudly, do not break line of sight too quickly. You want to keep staring at it. I want it to remain confused." The creature's head, or what passed as one, tilted. A wet clicking sound echoed through the corridor, reverberating unnervingly through the air vents. "It's scanning us," Talyra murmured. "I thought it already knew your signal." "It knows my biological signature," she said. "But it doesn't understand why you're near me." "I don't understand why I'm near you," Marcus whispered. "That thing belongs in a black site facility 2 galaxies away." The creature tensed, the metal rungs beneath it creaked. Talyra moved, just a fraction, stepping half an inch in front of Marcus. Protective, instinctual, almost reflexive. The creature reacted instantly. Its body flared with newly formed plating, dark, iridescent metal fused to its skin. And then it emitted a sound unlike anything Marcus had ever heard, a deep, vibrating hum that felt like it was resonating inside his teeth. Talyra inhaled sharply. "Step back," she whispered. "Why, what's it doing?" "It is resonating with the luminary core frequency," she said, "trying to mimic ancestral signals it does not fully understand." "Meaning, it thinks I am its origin." Marcus swore softly, "So it won't attack you." "Oh no," she said, eyes fixed on the creature. "It will absolutely attack me, but only after determining whether assimilation or termination is optimal." "Optimal, yes." He tightened his grip on the plasma cutter. "Okay, I've had enough." "What's the plan?" "No plasma," Talyra whispered sharply. "The heat signature will trigger its defensive growth cycle. It will adapt instantly." "Great, so I can't use my one good weapon." "Not unless you want a version of that creature that is plasma-resistant." Marcus lowered the cutter. "Fine, what can I use?" "Noise," Talyra said calmly. "Distortion, anything to disrupt its sensory lattice." Marcus blinked. "Noise." "Yes, it is relying on vibrational mapping, a byproduct of its unstable phase." He thought fast. He had something. He reached into his belt pouch and pulled out the high-frequency calibration tool every engineer carried, a small, box-shaped emitter used to tune grav plates. He flicked the dial. Talyra's eyes widened. "Marcus." He pressed the button. A piercing, oscillating tone ripped through the corridor. The creature convulsed violently, slamming its body into the ceiling, scraping metal, its mutated limbs twitching as the frequencies destabilized its equilibrium. Talyra seized his wrist. "Run." They bolted down the hallway, the creature shrieking behind them, an awful sound of tearing metal and furious adaptation. Marcus could hear it crashing across the ceiling, buying microseconds of stability each time it latched onto a different surface. "Talyra," he shouted, sprinting. "Which way to the core?" She veered left. Down the access corridor, the stabilization chamber is ahead. They tore around a corner, but Marcus's foot caught on a dislodged conduit. He stumbled, barely catching himself, and Talyra grabbed his arm, steadying him with surprising strength. "You're not fast enough," she said urgently. "Well, I'm only human, sorry for the inconvenience." She didn't smile, not even close. The creature shrieked again, and this time the sound vibrated the floor under their feet. Talyra pulled him through a hydraulic door, slammed the manual seal, and locked 3 magnetic clamps into place. The corridor boomed as the creature rammed the other side. Marcus stumbled backward. That won't hold. No, she said, it won't. Another impact hit the door, harder, angrier. Marcus felt the vibrations through his bones. Talyra, why is it so fixated on you? Because its incomplete luminary code cannot stabilize without a true core reference. It believes I am that reference. So basically it thinks you're its mother. Her patterns flickered with irritation. That is inaccurate and biologically impossible. But psychologically accurate. No, another slam, metal bent visibly. Okay, Marcus said, we need to move now. Talyra nodded. The stabilization chamber is through there. She pointed to a reinforced door marked Experimental Core, authorized personnel only. Classified access, level prime. Marcus swore under his breath. That's above military clearance. Yes, how were you planning to get in? She stepped forward. The lights around the door reacted instantly, swirling in synchronized pulses, forming patterns that resembled a visual language. Marcus stared. The door recognizes you. The consortium used luminary technology to build their interface systems, she said. Ironically, that means they never expected one of us to open it. The door slid open. The stabilization chamber beyond was vast, circular, metallic, filled with an eerie white light. In the center was the experimental core, a floating sphere of shifting latticework, pulsing like a heartbeat made of quantum glass. Marcus's jaw tightened. That thing looks unstable. That is because it is. Behind them, the creature slammed the corridor again, this time cracking the seal. Talyra stepped into the chamber. Marcus followed. The door slid shut. Talyra moved to the core console. Marcus glanced back. Talyra, what happens if that thing breaches the chamber? She didn't turn. It will merge with the core's lattice. And then, she finally met his eyes. Then Marcus Hale, Haven 9 will face something it cannot survive. He swallowed. So what do we do? Her patterns pulsed with cold, focused determination. We purge the core. Purge as in delete it. No, she said, as in destroy it. Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. And the creature. It will lose its stabilizing anchor. Meaning, it will collapse. The stabilization chamber vibrated like the inside of a storm. The experimental core pulsed faster, each beat sending ripples of pale light across the circular walls. Warning sirens bled into each other, overlapping into a single, rising tone of imminent structural failure. Marcus stared at the control console, an incomprehensible hybrid of holographics and luminary pattern script. Talyra, he said, I can't read any of this. You don't have to, she replied, fingers moving impossibly fast over the cascading light panels. You only need to hold the creature long enough for the purge to initialize. A metallic shriek tore through the chamber wall. The creature struck again, denting the reinforced barrier inward. The entire door buckled like aluminum foil under its evolving weight. That door's gonna pop like a soda can, Marcus muttered. Talyra didn't look up. 60 seconds, no more. 60 seconds, he said. Yeah, no problem. Totally normal amount of time to fight a super-evolving monster with industrial tools. The door split. A hooked limb punched through the opening, metal fused with cartilage twitching as it adapted to the air pressure and magnetic layout of the chamber. A second limb emerged. Then a head, elongated, armored with segmented plating. Marcus raised the shock baton. Hey, he shouted. Over here, nightmare fuel. The creature responded instantly, tearing through the opening like a starving animal smelling heat. It lunged straight at him. He triggered the baton. A crackling arc erupted, high voltage enough to stun a load-bearing exosuit. The strike connected. The creature shrieked and recoiled, but it didn't fall. It changed. New plating formed, sealing over the spot he'd hit. Its internal lattice reconfigured, absorbing shock resistance. Fantastic, Marcus said. It's learning faster now. 40 seconds. Talyra called out. Marcus retreated around the core platform. The creature followed, fast, erratic, limbs scraping grooves into the floor. Marcus dodged another swipe, barely avoiding a serrated claw that would have opened him like a storage crate. Talyra, he shouted. Any chance this thing has a weakness? Several, she replied, but all of them require equipment we do not have. Great, super helpful. He rolled under a swinging limb and sprinted toward the far side of the chamber. The creature slammed into the core housing instead. The impact sent a shockwave through the floor, nearly knocking Marcus off his feet. Talyra shouted sharply, do not let it make direct contact with the core. Not in the plan. 30 seconds. Marcus skidded behind a structural pillar. The creature crashed into it, denting the alloy supports. Sparks rained over the floor. The air tasted like burning chemicals and adrenaline. "Marcus!" Talyra shouted. Its sensory lattice is still unstable. Use distortion. Marcus's hand flew to the frequency calibrator clipped to his belt. He cranked it to maximum. "Round 2, he muttered. He activated it. The high-frequency pulse blasted through the chamber, sharp, destabilizing like a sonic drill. The creature convulsed violently, limbs splaying at unnatural angles as its internal mapping fell apart. The organ-like nodes along its spine expanded and contracted erratically. "Yes," Marcus yelled. "Come on, feel the migraine." 20 seconds, Talyra cried. Marcus continued circling the chamber, keeping the creature disoriented, its attempts to stabilize thwarted by the relentless sonic pulses. It slammed into a wall, then the floor, then tried to climb but couldn't orient itself. But with each distortion pulse, the device hissed and sparked, overheating. "Come on, don't die on me," Marcus muttered. The calibrator gave one final wheeze and exploded in his hand. "Ow, hot, hot." The creature regained balance instantly. Its body twisted, reconfiguring, growing spines of metal, claws sharpening, its skull elongating further. 10 seconds, Talyra's voice cut through the chaos. Marcus shouted, "Talyra, tell me you're almost done." "Almost." The creature lunged at her. She wasn't fast enough. Marcus didn't think. He sprinted, full speed. He slammed into the creature mid-pounce. It was like hitting a wall made of bone and steel. The impact knocked the breath out of him, but it shoved the creature off course. It smashed into a console instead of Talyra. The console detonated in a shower of sparks. Marcus hit the floor, vision blackening for a second. The creature recovered faster than he did. It turned toward him. Mouth plates peeling open like a mechanical flower, revealing rows of adaptive teeth. Talyra screamed something in Luminari, a command sharp and desperate. The creature paused, just 1 second, but it was enough. With a final decisive gesture, Talyra slammed her hand onto the purge control. The core ignited in blinding white. A shockwave rippled outward, silent at first, then building into a low-frequency hum that rattled Marcus's ribs. "Talyra," he yelled. "What now?" "Get down." He hit the floor, the core ruptured. A sphere of cascading light expanded outward, passing through Marcus like a cold wind and slamming into the creature with the force of an imploding star. The creature's body convulsed, contorting violently. Its metal plating disintegrated. Its limbs twisted, collapsing in on themselves as the stabilizing lattice dissolved. It shrieked, layers of voices overlapping, some synthetic, some biological. Then it shattered, not into gore. Into dust, fine, shimmering particles of deconstructed matter that evaporated before they touched the ground. Marcus lay on the floor, chest heaving. Talyra stood at the console, dimly glowing, her patterns flickering erratically from the purge feedback. Her legs wavered. Marcus crawled to her. "Talyra, are you?" She caught herself on the console, breathing shallow. "The purge was not meant to be triggered manually," she whispered. "It caused a feedback surge. My core is unstable." He grabbed her shoulders. "Stay with me." "I am trying." Emergency lights flickered back to life. The intercom crackled. "All personnel, containment breach resolved, structural integrity at 62%. Evac protocols initiated." Marcus helped Talyra sit. "You saved the station," he said quietly. "No," she corrected, her voice barely audible. "We did." He looked at her glowing patterns, dim now, unstable, like they were struggling to reorganize. "What happens to you now?" She stared at the dissolving dust where the creature had died. "I have revealed my existence," she said softly. "The consortium will know. Contractors will return. My hiding is over." Marcus shook his head. "No, you're not facing them alone." Her patterns flickered, a pulse of blue edged with something like acknowledgement. "Marcus Hale," she said, "you are only human. And you're only one luminary who just saved a whole orbital station," he shot back. "If they want you, they're going to have to get through me. And through every engineer on this station who owes me favors. And through the emergency blast doors I know how to reroute." Despite the situation, a faint pulse of light traveled across her skin, something between disbelief and a strange alien warmth. "You are impossible," she whispered. "Yeah," Marcus said. "Humans are known for that." Above them, Haven 9 creaked as repair drones activated. Distant alarms faded. The worst was over, but everything had changed. Talyra